welcome to this short demonstration of Sage Intacct. Today we will be looking at how the system utilizes an automatic matching process that drastically reduces the time required to carry out a bank reconciliation. Firstly, we will need to create a reconciliation rule, which will be used as a basis for our automatic matching system. To do this, we need to go into the application picker, we need to go into cache management, into the setup tab, and then into rules. From here, we can see our existing rules, but in this case, we are going to create a new one by clicking Add in the top right. In this screen, we need to ensure that the type of rule is set to Match Rule, and then we can input our rule ID and rule name. If necessary, we can apply a filter to the rule so that it's only applied to transactions that meet certain criteria. So for example, if we only wanted the automatic matching rule to be applied to Intacct transactions that are less than £1,000, we can do that by applying a filter here. To do this, we can select a data source of Intacct transactions. We'll select the field as transaction amount. We'll select an operator of less than, and then we'll type in the value of 1,000. We then have the grouping section. Here, we can tell the system that we want to group either Intacct or bank transactions based on their document number or posting date. This can be especially useful if you have multiple transactions on one side that you would like to match against one larger transaction on the other. And lastly, we have the matching conditions. These are effectively the fields that Intacct will review in order to match transactions off against each other. So for example, if we wanted to create a rule that looks to match transactions based on their posting date, description, and amount, we would create those fields here. So to begin with, we'll select our bank transaction fields. Then we need to select the operator as equals for each row. And then we need to match the bank transaction field with the Intacct transaction field. Then we're ready to go ahead and click Save. Before we apply our new reconciliation rule, we need to add it to a rule set. To do this, we need to go back into cache management and then into rule set. From here, we can click Add up at the top right. Then we need to provide an ID and a name for our new rule set. And then we need to ensure that the account type is set to bank. The last thing we need to do is to actually select our initial rule. You can see here the rule that we previously created, and then we'll press Add and Close. And then now we're ready to save. And lastly, before we can actually go into the bank reconciliation screen, we need to add the rule set to an actual bank account. To do that, we can go into Cache Management, Current Accounts, then we'll click Edit next to the bank in question. Then down at the bottom here on the first page, you can see we've got the applied rule set, and we'll choose rule set 2, which is the one we've just created. Then we can go ahead and click Save. And now we'll go into the actual bank reconciliation screen. So we go into Cache Management, into the All tab, and then under Reconciliation, we've got Bank. We can now select the account to reconcile. And as you can see, if you've already started to prepare a reconciliation, the rest of the fields will be populated for you. If not, we need to input our beginning balance cutoff date, our statement ending date, and our statement ending balance. We're then ready to select Continue. So now we've been taken into the bank reconciliation screen, and here we have a range of key figures up at the top here. And on the right hand side, we have our key figure of the amount to reconcile. The lower section of the screen is separated into two tabs. So you can see the transactions on the Intacct side, and you can also see them on the bank side. So the bank side is populated either through an automatic bank feed or a bank statement import that you would carry out yourself. At the moment, there are filters being applied to this view so that we can only see unmatched debit transactions. If we change this to show all transactions, we should see that there are certain transactions that have already been matched against each other. So we've applied our filters here on the left, and now we'll select Apply Filters. So as we can see, due to the state column on the right-hand side, we have multiple transactions that are already marked as matched. This shows us that the reconciliation rule is up and running and that the system has successfully matched transactions based on their posting date, amount, and description. If we go back over to the Intacct side, and we'll select the same filters, we should then be able to see the same. So now we can see a reflection on the Intacct side of the same transactions that we just witnessed on the bank side. Now, if we consider the impact of this over hundreds or even thousands of transactions, this element of Sage Intacct alone can save the user a substantial amount of time. Even in the event that we need to carry out a manual match, we can do so on the right-hand side here by simply clicking Match. Thank you very much for watching.